Hello everyone, I'm Becky Andrews, and this is Walking Through Wilson. It's been 50 years since Cracker Barrel opened its doors here in Lebanon, Tennessee, and today we'll speak with one of the two surviving original investors of the very popular restaurant chain. Historian Martin Frost drops by to tell us about a little-known Civil War event called the Battle of Lebanon. Yes, there was a battle here. And we'll speak with Debbie Perret and Sergeant Bob Witherspoon about a program that helps seniors in need. I'm Becky Andrews. Walking Through Wilson starts now. You might not have known this, but this year marks the 50th anniversary of the founding of Cracker Barrel. That was 1969, and lucky for us, we have one of the original investors, one of the 13 original investors in Cracker Barrel, Jack Cato. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about what happened. Like, you were a successful businessman in Wilson County, and when you were approached to, the original investment was $10,000,
Yes.
1969.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think when you first heard this?
Well, they had trouble finding people with $10,000.
Yeah.
Eddie Evans, Dan Evans' brother, and I owned something together. And Eddie came to see me one afternoon. And he said, "Danny said to hell with it, that we couldn't find anybody that would put $10,000 in it. They had 8, and he said 3 had backed out."
Oh no.
And Eddie explained to me about the Cracker Barrel, and you'd be on the board and all that. I asked my wife what you want to do. She heard what he said, and she said, well, she wasn't saying anything. Right. And I told Eddie that I'm going to do it, but this is the craziest thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah,
$10,000.
$10,000 was equivalent to about $77,000 today.
I just found that out. I did a little inflation calculator. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and that's why they couldn't find 10 people with $10,000.
And what was the what was the concept? Just a family restaurant? And
Eddie and I were good friends, and we owned something together already. Mm-hmm. Eddie wanted to use my phone. He didn't want but 10 people. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to use my phone, and he said he wanted to call somebody. And after he used the phone, he came back in and he told me, he said, well, we've got the 10 people and we're going to build them across America.
Really? And why do you think it took off into what it is today?
It was unique. It was different. The first Cracker Barrel down at 109 had a train whistle. You could pull a cord and the train, you could hear it all over the country. And they sold things, and they had country ham and biscuits, steak and biscuit, turnip greens right out of the field. Mm-hmm. It was a great place to go. Yeah. And we were just getting started. We had an attorney, and we formed a corporation in 1970. And one thing that's sort of unique about it is one day Danny called everybody, and he said, we need to have a meeting tonight, and we'll just meet at the Cracker Barrel and we'll eat and talk about some things. But when we got there, the people trying to get in ran down one side of the wall and across the back wall, and we couldn't get in.
The original investors couldn't get a table?
The board of directors. We couldn't get a table, so we had
that's a good problem to have, though.
Well, we had a board meeting on a wood pile out back. We sat on the wood pile and we discussed it. And what he wanted to discuss is the store was too small. Mm-hmm. And we started the very next day. It added 20 feet to it, made it larger. And
this is the one on 109.
It's the one on
the
109.
Original Cracker Barrel. Wow, that's amazing. And so there were 13 original investors, correct?
No, there were, yes, really. There were 13. Tommy Lowe and Glenn Chaffin owned Lowe Chaffin Construction Company, and they had a share. But one of them was on the board. So there were really 12 of us on the board of directors.
But 2 made up one investor. Right. Okay.
That made the 10. So
right.
We were in business.
That sounds so neat. Now, do you eat there a lot?
Yes, I did.
Do you still eat there a lot?
The night we had the meeting on the woodpile, the board of directors meeting.
Yes.
I think I stopped at McDonald's and got a sandwich.
Because you couldn't get inside the
'Cause I
restaurant.
couldn't get in.
But that's an okay problem to have for investors
That
when
was
you
a good
can't. It's so
problem.
busy you can't get a
a
restaurant.
good
You can't get a
problem.
seat. Now, do you know how many? What was the first state you went to besides Tennessee? What was the next state you went to open a restaurant up?
I guess other than Tennessee, we went up on Interstate 75 and built our next one in Dalton, Georgia. And we just started building them. It's been so long, and I can't remember.
And they're all over the place now.
650 something today.
Are they in every state?
45 states.
45 states. I got to know something. Who is Uncle Herschel? That's what we used to. I remember getting little passes that Uncle Herschel gave us, and we could eat there. Who is that?
Uncle Herschel was Dan Evans' real uncle. Dan Evans was president and chairman of the board, and his Uncle Herschel sold flour and meal, and he retired. And Danny called for him to come to the Cracker Barrel office one day, and he told him he wanted to represent Cracker Barrel, and they printed some gold cards. And when we would open a new restaurant, Uncle Herschel would go into town, and he would just walk down the street and give away free meals. Uncle Herschel was quite a guy. He was.
And you said he's one of your best friends.
He was one of my best friends. We went fishing a lot. Uncle Herschel had a story that he liked to tell. I think it was in Dalton, Georgia. I'm not sure. A lady was putting groceries in a car, and he walked up behind her, and he told her that he wanted to have dinner with her tonight. And this lady jumped out of the car and said, "Get away from me, old man. I'm not going to fool you."
Yeah.
And he had a hard time explaining to that lady that, he worked for Cracker Barrel, and all he wanted to do was just give her a free meal. And
well, and who are not to cut you off, I'm sorry, who were the original investors? What are the names of the originals? Do you know?
yes, I do.
You got your notebook?
I can tell you the original investors was Billy Baxter. Billy Baxter owned a carnival, and he did rides at fairs and all over the country.
Okay.
And Dr. Bradshaw is a medical doctor. And Jack Cato, had a TV and appliance
Right.
store.
Everybody will know that.
Glenn Chaffin and Tommy Lowe were in the construction business. Donald Irvin was a pharmacist. He owned a pharmacy in Alexandria.
Okay.
Of course, Dan Evans was in the gas business. Cracker Barrel was never intended to be a restaurant like it is today. Dan Evans was looking for a place to sell gasoline. He paid $15,000 for a lot down at 109.
And just have a restaurant where you could get gas.
Yeah, Eddie was his brother. And it was going to be sort of like a Stuckey's. You could
Right.
go in and fill up with gas, get a few gifts, and be on your way. Bill Heidel, he was in the insurance business. Buster Jennings sold stocks and bonds. Kenneth O'Lester was in the food business. And Tommy Lowe was, of course, the construction business. Dr. Miller was a dentist. John Shankle was the Alexander Shankle Company, and they built schools and churches and big construction.
Oh wow! So that's a good group of people there. Now I've got one more question. They're telling me to wrap up. I have to know what was the year that you knew that you had made a good investment? When did it happen? When did you know that this is going to more than pay for itself?
After we built 2 or 3, I knew then that it was good.
So back just a few years later.
Yeah. I was in the TV business, and we were making service calls for $19. And after we went public, I think, when we had, 23 restaurants. We owned the 23 restaurants.
Right.
Evelina Bennett was our secretary. When we had a board meeting, she had everything at your seat. It had everything that the Cracker Barrel, how much money they'd taken in, and all kind of things. And we were taking in millions of dollars, and I'm making service calls for $19.
So you were good. That was a good investment at 39 years old. Thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoyed I could probably talk to you for hours about this, and I know everybody's going to love to listen to the backstory of Cracker Barrel and the investors. So thank you so much.